Welcome back to the Metrodome in Minneapolis as the Angels tonight begin a road trip. It'll be the first of 4 against the Minnesota Twins. And the Angels have won 3 straight, 4 of their last 6. And they're hopeful of continuing what success they had on the recent homestand. And Joe Maddon hoping his ball club can play as well down the stretch here on the road. And this is how Joe Maddon will line them up tonight. For the Angels, Darren Erstad will lead off. He's the designated hitter. Jim Edmonds batting second in center field. Tim Salmon will bat third. He's out in right field tonight. Mo Vaughn at first base, the cleanup man. Troy Gloss will play third base. Garrett Anderson is out in left field. Jeff Houston had a big night, a big hit 2 nights ago to win the ball game in the extra innings. He'll play second. Benji Molina catching, and Gary DiSarcina will bat ninth and play short for the Angels. Brad Radke will be on the mound tonight for the Minnesota Twins. He's been tough, Rex, against the Angels lifetime.
Oh, he's outstanding. He has tremendous control. He's got fastball, slider, curve, and a changeup, and he'll use them all at any particular time. And like you said, those walks are way down there with 34. He's a control pitcher, and he has caused the Angels fits in the past here this season. It'll be interesting to see if they can get on time with him.
Not bad. Brad Radke really has been outstanding in his last 3 starts. His ERA microscopic. And overall this season, 12-12. This will be his 30th start of the year. Radke, a right-hander out of Fargo, Florida. He was born in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Erstad will lead things off for the Angels. And a strike to start the ball game. 0-1 on Darren Erstad.
Wow, it's just, you know, I talked to Terry Steinbach before the game. He loves catching Radke. He can hit the spots. Wherever Steiny sets up, Radke puts it right there.
Darren has hit safely in his last 4. On the ground to second base. Cletus Davidson just up from the minor leagues. Throws out Erstad, 1 away. A little bit of a different game on the turf inside the dome. Now this is how the Twins will line up behind Brad Radke defensively. Torrey Hunter in center, Chad Allen in left, and Marty Cordova in right. And along the infield, Brent Gates at third, Denny Hocking the shortstop, Cletus Davidson at second, Ron Coomer at first, and the veteran Terry Steinbach doing the catching for Brad Radke. The Twins at 58 and 81, the Angels at 55 and 84. Jim Edmonds in center field tonight in the 2 slot in the lineup for Joe Maddon.
And Mario, Jimmy has really been coming around. He's starting to get into the shape and the condition of playing every day after spending most of the season out with that bad right shoulder. And he's hitting the ball the other way with authority, and that's what makes Edmonds such a power threat. He'll have to do that against Radke because he's such a control pitcher, and he likes to hit the spots on the outside corner.
Jimmy Edmonds was saying before the game today that coming into spring training, he was hitting a month before spring training. He was ready to go, and then the injuries hit. And now he's just trying to get that timing back. In the air to center, Torrey Hunter started back, and he recovers to make the play. 2 down of the Angels' first inning. The Metrodome in Minneapolis opened up in 1982. It cost about $68 million to build this place back in 1982. The numbers have changed dramatically in the interim, Rex.
Yes, they have. And I remember coming in here in '84. Billy Martin was my manager with the Yankees, and he walked out of the middle of the field and looked at the ceiling of this. It's white, and he goes, "What is this? A circus tent?"
It has the appearance.
But it's very difficult for the defensive players when a ball goes up in the air. I mean, look at the ball's the same color as the roof. So you can't take your eye off it. You got to as an outfielder, you can't look down. You've got to be able to track it all the way. Makes it difficult.
Tim Salmon the batter, and he is quickly ahead in the count. Well, the roof, and we talk about that roof, it has some holes that are drainage holes. And back in 1984, you can see them there, the drainage holes. Dave Kingman actually hit a ball through one of the holes, and it never came down. And they had to call it a ground rule double. Salmon down the line in left. Over to cut it off is Allen. Salmon tries for 2, and he slides in safely. So a 2-base hit with 2 outs for Tim Salmon. And the Angels have a scoring opportunity now.
Nice piece of hitting by Tim Salmon. And you can see that coming into tonight's action, Radke really owned Tim Salmon, hitting 161. Here he leaves a pitch up in the strike zone, and Timmy Salmon just rakes it down the left field line. Look at Chad Allen hustling over to cut this ball off before it hits the wall. And the Kingfish with a nice splash into second base. That's a double.
Salmon had 6 RBIs on the recent homestand and starts it off with a 2-base hit with 2 outs here in the first. So the road trip off to a good start for Tim Salmon. Mo Vaughn, a ball low and away, and it gets away from Steinbach. Salmon will advance to third. So the veteran behind the plate, Terry Steinbach, unable to block that ball. And the Angels now get that go-ahead run just 90 feet away.
Well, that ball had some good movement on it. I like to call it hair. Had good hair on it. It just moved away out of Steinbach's reach. You can see, watch this pitch here. Look, it had good running action. Steiny had his glove turned the wrong way, but it didn't hurt him. Now, if he misses another one, it could cost him a run. But Mo Vaughn, this is where he does his crafty work with men on base.
2 balls and no strikes now on Mo Vaughn. Mo's starting to perk up with the long ball recently. He still trails Troy Gloss, who leads the team with 26. And the batting average of Mo Vaughn down this year, and that is what has really been most disappointing, I think, to Mo. Playing with a bad ankle all season long. 2 balls and 1 strike on Vaughn.
And you can tell that, you know, whenever you're hurting on your backside, that's the side that you put most of your weight on. It makes it tough. So Mo's had to make adjustments all year long, and he's starting to show signs of coming out of it a little bit. But the main thing is he's not pulling his head. He's been trying to carry the team by pulling the ball, and when you pull your head, you don't give yourself a chance to see the ball. He's been more effective going to left field.
2 balls and 2 strikes on Mo Vaughn.
It's a good pitch middle in, but just what I said before, he pulled his head off, and you can watch his head. His hips open up right there. He's just not staying on the ball, but when he hits the ball to left field, he's much more effective.
Radke's 2-2 pitch. Missed it away, 3-2 now. Well, Radke has been a tough customer against the Angels. We've documented his numbers. He's 8-2 lifetime. His ERA is 1.57 against the Angels. He has already 2 complete games against Anaheim this year, both at Edison Field.
Well, Mo Vaughn is hitting 351 off him with 2 home runs.
Something has to give. Right side and a base hit.
He found a hole. The defense was playing him over. Normally they've been stopping Mo all year with that defensive shift, and he just hit it where they weren't. Mario just found a hole, and that puts the Angels up 1-0.
Start for the Angels, a 2-out double by Tim Salmon, and Mo Vaughn is able to take advantage.
Look at it. He reached for it. It was away, but he reached for it and just found a hole right in between the shortstop, Hawking, and the second baseman. Look, if they had dove for that, they might have knocked each other out, but that just was perfect placement.
So Mo Vaughn with a 2-out single. Troy Gloss steps in. No balls and 1 strike on Gloss. He had a pair of home runs on the recent homestand for the Angels. They swept a 2-game series against the White Sox and split that 4-game series against the Yankees. And the with a little more confidence these days, it appears.
They are, and this young man here is just having a tremendous season. Even though he's not hitting for high for average, that's okay. That'll come. He's got good power numbers.
Coomer, tough play. Davidson there, and Coomer makes the catch. Lost out on the foul pop, but the Angels come up with a 2-out double and an RBI single by Mo Vaughn. 1-0 Anaheim. Back at the Metrodome in Minneapolis, Tom Kelly in his 14th season as manager of the Minnesota Twins. And his batting order tonight, facing left-hander Chuck Finley. Denny Hawking will lead off, and he'll play shortstop tonight for the Twins. Brent Gates batting second at third base. Marty Cordova is in right field. He'll bat third. Terry Steinbach cleans up the catcher. Ron Coomer is at first base. Chad Allen is out in left field. Todd Walker, the designated hitter tonight for the Twins. Torrey Hunter is out in center field, and Cletus Davidson, who was just called up, one of the many call-ups that many of the teams have had in September. And Chuck Finley really has pitched well since the trading deadline.
Yes, Mario, and he is a power pitcher. You can see with 163 strikeouts, that's about the second highest in the league. And he is tough. Since the trade deadline, all those mental games are all over. He has been all business, and he does that with a nice fastball that he spots on both sides of the plate. He'll use a curveball and a nice, nasty split finger that is one of the most feared split fingers in the league. And all these hitters that Chuck faces know that he has the split, but because it looks so much like a fastball, they're not able to hit it.
Denny Hocking to start things off now for the Twins. No balls and 1 strike. Well, Finley lifetime 16-14 against Minnesota. Hocking a .277 hitter.
He's one of my favorite players in the league. Denny Hocking. He can play all around the ballpark. It doesn't matter where. He would sell popcorn if they let him. This guy's awesome. He likes to play. He's hungry. And he wanted me to say a special hello to Vanetta, his beautiful wife, who's carrying twins, and they're due in January.
Is that right?
How about that? Twins. He plays for the Twins, and they're expecting twins.
Well, he's out of West Torrance High School. And Denny Hocking, one of the great stories in baseball, a 52nd round pick. And not too many of those that are picked in that round or 50 beyond get a chance. In the air to center, hit well. Edmonds on the move, runs it down. 1 away. And defensively for the Angels tonight behind Chuck Finley. Edmonds out in center, Anderson in left, Salmon in right tonight. He's been battling a bit of a sore back, as has Chuck Finley, who missed his last start. Gloss at third, DiSarcina the shortstop. Houston and Vaughn on the right side of the infield, and Benji Molina will catch Chuck Finley tonight.
Take a look at the Kingfish, Tim Salmon, who doubled and then scored on Mo Vaughn's single. Timmy Salmon is starting to round into form too. A lot of these Angels have missed a good part of the season due to injury, and it's a timing game, and it takes them a little bit of time to get their rhythm. Salmon's starting to come on, and so is Edmonds. DiSarcina swinging the bat much better.
1 ball and 1 strike on Brent Gates. He is at third base tonight. Can also play second base. He's been the designated hitter at times as well. 2-1 the count.
They call him Gator, and he's been a very good utility player for Tom Kelly, sitting in the dugout over there taking notes, and he told me he likes second base much better than third, but he's been swinging the bat pretty well.
Houston on the ground ball, fires to Vaughn for the second out, so a good start for Chuck Finley. 2 up, 2 down. And Brent Gates out of there, and the tapper to second, and Marty Cordova now will step in for the Twins.
Well, these Twins, they hit left-handers very well, but they haven't done as well against Chuck Finley. Cordova's 200, 6 for 30. He's hit a home run off Chuck. But you can see that 291 batting average leads the team of these Twins, and he's been one of their best players. He had a plantar fasciitis in his foot, same injury that Tim Salmon had last year, and it's difficult to play on it, but he's finally said all the pain is gone, and he's able to go out and be pain-free.
He's behind in the count, 0-2. Well, he was the Rookie of the Year back in 1995. He just edged out Garrett Anderson, and really an extremely close vote, 105-99 for the American League Rookie of the Year voting that year. And certainly Anderson was deserving, but Cordova, with 24 home runs, 84 driven in his rookie season. Finley's 0-2.
Marty's another player, an outfielder that has had to getting used to this ceiling up here, the roof, the Metrodome. He said you can't take your eye off. It's very difficult playing out there, and it's embarrassing when you go back on a ball and all of a sudden it disappears, and you know it's coming down somewhere, and then it falls. A lot of highlight tapes have been made here in this stadium.
Finley's 2-2 pitch now to Cordova. Just missed the corner away, 3-2. Jim Edmonds was talking about the ceiling here today. Says you get a false sense of security during batting practice because the sun is still out and it's still much lighter. But once the sun goes down, it's much more difficult at game time to catch a ball. Here's one hit on the ground is
nice
short.
pick.
Nice pick by Desar, and he'll gun him down. So 3 up and 3 down for the Twins in the first. We've played 1 at the Metrodome, 1-0 Angels. Including Garrett Anderson.
I like that philosophy. Look at that knock up the middle.
Garrett Anderson a leadoff single, an 11-game hitting streak now for the Angels left fielder.
That's one thing about playing on artificial turf. Those hits on the ground just find the holes and they scoot through a lot quicker.
Well, Rex, has been a season of inconsistencies for this ball club, but he has been extremely consistent, and that I think is one of the reasons why he is that type of hitter. That's his style, to just go out and get his base hits and not try and do too much.
Slash and dash and use the whole field, and that reminds me of this guy stepping in right now.
Slash and dash.
Jeff Houston. He has been a valuable part of this team this year off the bench.
Well, a big hit on Wednesday night. Runner goes, and Houston fouls it off. They had Anderson on the move that time.
It's another part of the Joe Madden style of baseball that I like. He's letting the base runners steal a lot more, and every player has the green light. I like that. It's going to cause some action. Let the guys feel free to go out there and get a jump. It's tougher to steal a base when you have to run on that particular pitch when the sign is given. So he's going to use more hit and runs like we just saw there. And you have to have the guys who can pull it off, like Jeff Houston, DeSarcina, guys who can handle the bat.
On the ground to the right side. A spinning move by Davidson for one. Nice play by Cletus Davidson, and they told us that he will make the acrobatic play.
Cletus Davidson, wow, this is the first time we've seen him play. He's only played 3 games since the call-up. He's got some skills. You can see on this play here, whenever the ball's hit 2 or 3 hopper like this, tendency is to just take the out at first. Look at him on the dead run, off balance, gets the force there at second base to Hawking. Look at the acrobatic move. Throws off balance, gives him a perfect throw, and because Houston runs so well, and look at Anderson trying to go in there hard and take him out. I like that style too.
And a lot of times you might see a young player take the sure out at first base, but he went straight to the bag at second for the lead runner as Benji Molina stands in. RBI single by Mo Vaughn in the first inning, putting the Angels on top. Molina still trying to get a gauge on big league pitching. .232 average.
He's not pleased with his batting, but that's okay. Most hitters, most players want to impress with their stick, but because he's the catcher, it's so important that he keeps doing just what he's been doing behind the plate.
Double play ball hit to third. Davidson with a relay in time, and that'll be it for the Angels in the second. 5-4-3 on the double play. No runs, a hit, nobody left. Angels lead 1-0. Baseball on KCAL 9 is brought to you by Brewery Fresh Budweiser, official beer of Major League Baseball. This Bud's for you. And by 1010-220. Dial it and talk up to 20 minutes for only 99 cents. Angels lead at 1-0 on an RBI single in the first inning by Mo Vaughn, and the Twins bat in the second with Terry Steinbach facing Chuck Finley, and an easy 1-2-3 for Finley in the first inning. The veteran catcher is Steinbach. 1 ball and no strikes.
And now Steinbach, he rakes Chuck Finley. He's hit him at a .368 clip, 28 for 76. A lot of at-bats with 5 home runs. So he's had some success off Finley. Of course, it goes back to the Oakland A's days when he played so many years with Oakland. He was able to face Chuck quite a bit.
They had a terrific lineup, those Oakland teams.
I asked Steiny earlier today, I said, hey, do you miss not playing on a contending team? And he said, I'm enjoying playing here in Minnesota. My family's here, but sure, I miss Septembers where, you have big series and you're in contention and all that. But he's a professional and he goes about his job the same way every day, whether it's a pennant race or not.
Went to high school in Minnesota, grew up here, went on to play at the University of Minnesota. 2 balls and 2 strikes now. Steinbach, aside from being obviously a very good baseball player, was also his high school's leading scorer all time in hockey. A pretty good athlete. And has been in the big leagues for 13 seasons, and Finley got him there.
Hard to hit that split finger.
Tonight after the game, KCAL's Prime 9 News has all of Southern California's news, live, local, and late breaking. Watch KCAL's Prime 9 News tonight after the game. Steinbach out on strikes. Ron Coomer will step in now for Minnesota. First strikeout of the game for Chuck Finley, whose season high was 12. And that was against the Detroit Tigers in mid-August.
And Coomer is a fan favorite here because of his nice style. He likes to have fun. He's got a smile on his face most of the time, and you can see he's having a pretty good year. 16 home runs, that leads the team. He hits left-handed pitchers very well. He's an even 300 off Chuck Finley in his career, 9 for 30. Well, if you figure that out, that's not exactly 300, but they say his batting average is 300 and plays first base or third.
He also was originally in the Oakland A's organization. 2 balls and 1 strike. Went over to the White Sox system for a while. Then the Dodgers had him, and when he was in the Dodgers organization, he put up some huge numbers down at AAA Albuquerque. In fact, in 1994, he had 123 RBIs, and in a minor league season, that's a huge number.
Sure is.
But never got a chance to play in the big leagues, really, until he came to Minnesota. In the air, right center field, Salmon. He'll make the catch, and 2 gone. So Finley now has retired 5 in a row. Tim Salmon runs that one down. And with 2 outs, Chad Allen will step in now. Angels looking for their 4th consecutive victory. They have 4 here against the Minnesota Twins. Then they go to Kansas City, where they were to play a 3-game series, but they have a doubleheader coming up, and Joe Madden has his team playing some pretty good baseball right now.
Well, let's check out some Finley numbers in August. Look at him. 3-1 with a 1.6, 46 strikeouts and only 16 walks. He's been hitting the strike zone just like that right there.
Well, the control has been very good as well for Chuck Finley. Only 1 walk in his last start, and he has been able to stick around quite a while. He's been pitching deep into ball games.
I bet you Cleveland Indians really miss not making that deal because they need a solid left-hander in their starting rotation. And ever since the All-Star, or not the All-Star break, but the trade deadline on the 31st of July, he has settled down and really started pitching. There's that split finger. You just can't hit it.
2 balls and 2 strikes. And Rex, I think one of the things that gets lost in whether or not you keep a guy like Finley or send him is that he's a valuable guy to have, especially with the 3 youngsters that'll pitch in the rest of the series.
That's exactly right. You need a guy who to set the tone and be a role model, and you can't find a better one because his work ethic is awesome. He trains hard after every start. He's got a good routine down, and he's kind of a quiet leader. He goes out and does his work. The other kids, you know, their eyes are wide open. That's Chuck Finley, and they watch him how he goes about it, and then they watch him on the hill, and that's when he is very impressive.
And a check swing on the appeal. They say he went around, and Chad Allen doesn't like that call, but he is called out on strikes and lets Tim Welke know about it.
You can see this pitch here is a little curveball. It tried to check the outside corner of the plate, and Allen tried to check his swing. And there it is. His bat went across the plate.
6 up, 6 down against Finley. 1-0 Angels. Back at the Metrodome in Minneapolis, Brad Radke back to work. Angels ahead 1-0, and Gary DiSarcina takes a strike. DiSarcina, Erstad, and Edmonds for the Angels in the 3rd. Chuck Finley cruising along, and the only blemish right now on the mark of Brad Radke, an RBI single by Mo Vaughn in the 1st. 1 ball and 1 strike on DiSarcina, a modest 3-game hitting streak, and he also is trying to find his stroke offensively after missing most of the season.
He's starting to play like the DiSarcina we know on defense. And there's a knock
into center field and a base hit. So a leadoff single for Gary DiSarcina. Tomorrow here at the Metrodome, they have the Minnesota Golden Gophers playing a football game at night. So tomorrow the Angels will play an 11 a.m. game here against the Twins. Now, Hud, if you bring your pajamas and you wear them to the ballpark, you will get an $8 GA ticket for $4, half price. So bring your PJs tomorrow and they'll set you up.
Oh, I like it.
Some of these youngsters, I'm sure, will take advantage of that.
I don't think that my pajamas would be acceptable here, though.
They might turn you back. They might turn you away. Erstad with the leadoff man aboard. Well, back in 1996, Darren Erstad toured the bases against Brad Radke. Inside the park home run.
Wow. That's got to be exciting to do. I never did it as a player, and it's got to be fun. Now, that's a long way. That's further than running the length of a football field.
Come on, Hud, with your wheels, you've never hit an inside the park home run.
Never hit it inside the parker. I stopped at third sometimes. A guy held me, and I wanted to go, but they never let me go. Of course, I'm not in the talent league of this young Darren Erstad right here. He's got a lot on the ball. He's having an off year this year, but still, he's very effective. He can hit for power. He's got speed, hit for average.
Runner on the move, popped him up. DiSarcina will have to retreat. Cletus Davidson with the catch, one away. So again, Joe Maddon starting his runner. And we mentioned that the Angels stole 4 bases in that series, the 2-game series against the Chicago White Sox, but they ran quite a bit as well against the Yankees, even though they were caught quite a bit. That doesn't bother Joe Maddon.
No, he wants the guys to be aggressive, and he's going to let them play. Try to stay out of the way, and I like that style. He's enjoying his interim manager status. And he's really opened the throttle.
Jim Edmonds has had good success in his career against Radke. Line drive left center. That ball is down. This one will go to the wall. On his way to third is DiSarcina. They will send him, and Gary DiSarcina will score. It's a 2-base hit for Jim Edmonds. And the Angels add another on the scoreboard. They lead it 2-0.
DiSarcina brought the mail home all the way from first base, and Edmonds splits the gap. Watch Edmonds, very relaxed style, and he's hitting the ball the other way, right middle away that pitch was, and look at him go the other way. That's Jim Edmonds at his best. He starts hitting that ball the other way. Now he puts his head down, and he's looking for 2. DiSarcina runs well. He's going to bring the mail home from first.
So Jim Edmonds with his 16th RBI of the season. And Tim Salmon now with a chance to drive in a run. He doubled his first time to set up the first Angels run. Radke missing inside, and Brad Radke finding himself in really an unfamiliar spot, trailing the Angels.
It is, but the Angels have been hot lately, and he's made a few mistakes out over the plate, and they've made him pay.
Radke had complete games against the Angels on June 2nd and July 30th in Anaheim. 1 ball and 1 strike, but one of those games he was out-dueled. Had lost the game 2-1. That was that June 2nd game. On July 30th, he gave up just 1 run in 9 innings, struck out 3. And he's a guy that doesn't walk too many wrecks. He very rarely will beat himself with base on balls.
It's impressive, and I know a lot of teams he's been on their wish list.
Radke's 1-1.
There he doubled up with back-to-back changeups to Tim Salmon. Very effective at changing speeds and being a veteran pitcher with confidence in all of his pitches. It's a big advantage.
Radke this year averages 1.7 walks per 9 innings. So not even 2 per game. The 1-2 to Salmon. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
You can see he'll use the 2-seam fastball that has a little bit of sinking running action, and he'll use a 4-seam, which is a straighter pitch he'll use upstairs. You can see that strikeout to walk ratio is second best in the AL behind Pedro Martinez.
Radke's 2-2. Full count now on Salmon. Radke in his last start, 1 run against Tampa Bay in 9 innings. He has won 3 in a row, 4 of his last 5. So he has been a pitcher that really has come on down the stretch for the Minnesota Twins. And like Finley, he is sort of the veteran on this staff now, with a lot of good young arms in Minnesota as well. On the ground toward third base, Coomer on the short hop pick throws him out. Salmon out 5-3. Mo Vaughn, big home run on Wednesday night, tying the ball game up at 5-5 against the White Sox.
Ooh, I like that swing. He finished high and he stayed through the ball, and that was a big lift for the Angels. Watch him keep his head on it and finish high. You could hear that all the way from Anaheim here in Minnesota. So Mo is more successful when he keeps his head down through the ball, and he's starting to feel more comfortable, and you can see he hits Radke very well.
There's a strike on Vaughn. 0-1. Well, most teams like to play Mo, many do at least, with three infielders to the right of second base, and there's the shift on Vaughn. Now Vaughn was able to sneak a single through the infield back in the first inning, so the shift didn't work that time.
Cletus Davidson is playing a shallow right field, the second baseman.
Rifle to right. This ball is hooking and landing. Fair, it's gone. A home run. Mo Vaughn with a line drive home run over the big wall in right. His second hit of the game, and the Angels have hit Brad Radke hard early in this one. 4-0 Anaheim. And for Mo, number 25 on the season.
You don't usually see teams get the good part of the bat on Radke like they have tonight. Mo Vaughn, he picks one out on the inside part of the plate, and he turns on it. He likes that ball down. That's a nitro zone, and this ball was shot up in there on the line. Look at it, straight leg, nice finish. I think his ankle's starting to feel a little bit better, and that right fielder out there, Cordova, might have tracer burns on the side of his face because that ball left in a heartbeat.
And 87 RBIs now for Mo. Troy Gloss takes a strike, and well, you look at what, 3 weeks left, maybe a little less than that, Rex. He has 25 home runs, 87 RBIs, a chance to get to 30 and 100, and considering the injury that he's had to put up with this year, it's a pretty good pair of numbers there.
Yes, and this has been a good learning year for Mo, as well as most of the Angels. They're going to take everything they've learned this year and steamroll in through the last of this season here in September, like Joe Madden wants, to finish strong and go into next year.
1 ball and 2 strikes. And speaking of learning years, it has been a learning year for Troy Gloss. He has endured a couple of slumps. It has not affected his defense. He has been terrific defensively at third, and really has endured and has put up some good numbers.
Talking to him today, he's pretty pleased with his power numbers, but he's not so pleased with his RBIs. And I said, hey, look, you know, the Angels, the guys who hit before you haven't exactly been getting on base very much, so there hasn't been a lot out there. Cut yourself a little slack.
In the air toward left center. That ball is down, an extra base hit. Troy Gloss will motor into second, and he is in with a 2-base hit, so the Angels have their 3rd extra base hit in this inning against Radke, and Gloss is 1 for 2. And the Angels, who seem to struggle every time against Radke, coming out swinging tonight.
Look at Gloss, nice and short, compact, finds a gap. Chad Allen's been impressing me out there. He's cutting all these balls off in the outfield before they get to the wall, but hasn't been able to help Radke at all. And he's a hard ball player, likes to run through the wall if he has to. Good speed.
A lot of youth on this Minnesota team. Chad Allen, just one of the young players. Garrett Anderson extending his hitting streak with a single back in the 2nd inning. An RBI chance against Radke. Popped him up. Tough play for Coomer. On the move, and he makes the catch. So Ron Coomer hauls in the final out of the inning, but the Angels come up with 3 runs, and 2 of them coming on the home run from Mo Vaughn. Tonight, the Dodge Caravan Player Spotlight shines on Steve Sparks of the Angels. Visit the Angels baseball website at www.angelsbaseball.com. Click on the Dodge Caravan Spotlight icon. Answer the trivia questions about the Angels players for your chance to win game tickets or even an autographed jersey. For complete contest rules, visit Angels baseball website at angelsbaseball.com or the box office at Edison Field. Well, the Angels have jumped all over Brad Radke in this one. 3 runs in the 3rd. They lead it 4-0 now. Mo Vaughn 2 hits. 3 RBIs, including a home run. Chuck Finley back to work.
Pitching
and a
ahead.
strike on Todd Walker.
He is going right after him, and that's what you do with a 4-run lead. Something Chuck hasn't been used to pitching under all year. He hadn't got a lot of run support, especially early. And he has mowed these Twins down in order through the first 2 innings.
Well, the numbers at LSU for Todd Walker. Eye-popping, a 33-game hitting streak. And in fact, he broke Albert Bell's school record for career RBIs in just 2 seasons.
That's not messing around.
An impressive hitter, first-round pick in 1994. And Finley falls behind now. 3 balls and 1 strike.
It's tough being a designated hitter. That's what he's doing this evening, and you got to sit on the bench and kind of wait your turn. And he's not used to DHing, and he gets a tough chance against Finley, but he rakes a single.
Leadoff man aboard, Todd Walker, with the first hit tonight for the Twins, and so Finley had set down 6 straight before the Walker hit. Walker has 16 stolen bases this year, so Finley will keep an eye on him. He is a threat to run, although the Angels lead this one 4-0 in the 3rd.
It's the first hit given up by Big Chuck.
Torrey Hunter now, the center fielder for the Twins, a 5-game hitting streak in progress. And a strike 0-1. You know, we talk about all the young players on this Minnesota team, and Tom Kelly, the manager, has really had to be patient this year. And Torrey Hunter, another one of the first-round picks that is up with Minnesota. Not a whole lot of experience.
What comes with that is aggressive swinging.
Todd Walker will move up. The pitch in the dirt, Molina unable to stop it.
Molina, that's one of the things that's impressed me so much about him, is that he has the ability to block the plate. This is the first ball I've seen. Of course, it hit home plate, and there's a little bit of lip on the plate, and it got away from him. But he normally smothers every ball that comes in there. But Torrey Hunter, he's aggressive. He's going to have to learn how to be a little more selective. He's high on the strikeouts with 64 and just 343 at bats.
Well, he's found left-handed pitching to his liking. He hits .333 against lefties this year. Has some power, 9 home runs.
But he's a good candidate for the split finger. And he might see another one coming here.
He may. The count 0-2. Finley missing up high with a fastball.
That was a smart pitch. 0-2. You don't want to leave anything out over the plate. He came in off the plate. Don't want to give up an 0-2 base hit, especially with a runner in scoring position.
Todd Walker, the runner, off the bag at second. Swung on and missed. He got him. And so Finley comes back to strike out Hunter for the first out. And 3 strikeouts now for Chuck Finley.
There's that split finger. That is some nice rotation on it. Look at that. Molina's in there to block that plate, or block that ball from going back to the backstop.
Now, there are 2 types of pitches, Rex, the split finger and the fork ball. Now, the results are usually the same. You want to get the pitcher swinging at a ball in the dirt, but there are some subtle differences.
Yes, there is.
On the ground up the middle, DiSarcina spins, throws, not in time. Nifty play by DiSarcina, but Davidson can really run. He beat it out. An infield hit for Cletus Davidson.
And on the carpet, you can see the chop knocks work, and DiSarcina does his best, does a little spin move, but he has to get some leverage on the throw. Makes a nice throw, and Davidson runs very well. A little spin move DiSar shows. Gets a lot on the throw because his momentum took him that way with the spin. But Mario, you're right. The split finger is a pitch that looks like a fastball in rotation wise, and it has the same effect, but the forkball, it has a tumbling rotation. You can see it as a hitter a little, and they spread their fingers a little wider.
Nice block by Molina with Denny Hocking at the plate. The result is always the same, at least the result that you want, and that's to deceive the hitter and upset the timing.
That's just exactly what Chuck Finley does so well, is he's able to throw the fastball, usually shows the fastball early and then pulls a split finger out, and it looks just like a fastball but has a good sinking action.
Hocking fly to center his first time up. In the air to right field and deep. Salmon back. He'll make the catch. Walker will tag at third and score, and Davidson moves up as well. So Todd Walker comes in with the first run for Minnesota tonight. An RBI for Denny Hocking, his 37th of the year, and Tim Salmon showing off that throwing arm to second base, but Davidson beat him to the bag.
That's some heads up base running by Davidson, able to advance. Usually that's a tough play to advance on a fly ball to right field, but it was deep and he read it perfectly.
Two out now for Brent Gates. Gates 0 for 1 in this game with a ground out. One ball and no strikes. Gates in his rookie season with the Oakland A's back in '93 really opened up some eyes, and I think a lot of people thought this guy was going to be a great hitter, but then he suffered some injuries. Played in only 64 games in '94 and '96 and went from Oakland to Seattle and now to Minnesota. With that rookie year, 7 homers, 69 RBIs. He hit near 300. And now finds himself pretty much as a utility player, playing different positions in different spots.
Well, that's not a bad way to settle. You can accumulate some major league time by being a utility player, but every player dreams of being a starting player, but it just doesn't work out. Most players have to deal with injuries. Part of the game.
Gates, like Steinbach, also went to the University of Minnesota. He was a teammate of Seattle catcher Dan Wilson's at Minnesota. High and away, and Finley falls behind now, 3-1. He's an All-American in Minnesota, Big Ten Player of the Year after his junior season.
He really enjoys playing for Tom Kelly. Says Kelly's a player's manager. Likes to have fun. He's able to keep the guys loose.
3 balls and 2 strikes now on Brent Gates. Big night for Mo Vaughn so far. RBI single, 2-run homer. Denny Hocking has put the Twins on the board. Good to see Mo swinging the bat a little bit better these days, and he's looking for a strong finish, and we'll try and carry that over into spring training next year. And I don't think that Mo will ever be 100% this year. Rex, I think we just have to deal with that and hope for better things next year.
Those ligament injuries are hard to heal. It takes a long time.
Got him on the split finger pitch. Molina will throw to first to complete the strikeout. And that's all for the Twins in the third, but they get a run back. Got a couple of hits and a sacrifice fly. We've played 3. It's 4-1 Angels. Back at the Metrodome in Minneapolis, where the Angels lead this one by a score of 4-1. And Angels fans, the Angels are teaming up with McDonald's for the Halo Slugger Sweepstakes. Tonight's contestant, Megan Casey of La Cañada, and for complete contest rules, visit the Angels website at angelsbaseball.com, part of the Go Network. And Megan Casey is already a winner tonight. Mo Vaughn's home run will score Megan some tickets to a future Angels game, and also an autographed Mo Vaughn baseball as well. So congratulations to Megan. Big winner tonight as Jeff Houston takes a strike. Big night for the Angels so far as well. Vaughn 3 RBIs. Edmonds has doubled in a run. Utility man Jeff Houston 0 for 1 in this one. On the ground to the right side, backhanded by Coomer. Radke covers for the out, 1 away.
That's a nice play by Coomer. That's all a timing play. Whenever the ball's hit to the right side, the pitch is trained to get over there and cover first base. It's all about timing. Coomer caught it, was able to give him a good lead and also a few words of encouragement. saying, hang in there, we'll score some runs.
Benji Molina stands in now. Benji bouncing into a double play back in the second. Radke starts him off down low. 1 ball and no strikes. Brad Radke has been a workhorse for the Minnesota Twins. In fact, he had started 123 consecutive starts before July 4th. And he had to miss a game with a strained groin, but he had gone out there just about every time and very rarely missed a start.
Talk about Radke earlier being a veteran. He's got 4 years in the major leagues, and some people might not think that's qualified for veteran status, but it is.
And Molina with a base hit. So Benji with a 1-out single. Angels put another hit on the board, and already against Radke, 8 hits in this one. Benji Molina joins the hit parade, and here's Gary DiSarcina. Well, I ran across a note the other day, Rex. Tampa Bay's Jose Guillen says that Radke's ball is moving a little bit too much these days, and he is wondering whether or not he's doctoring it up a bit. In fact, Guillen said, we know he's a good pitcher, but the motion he has on the ball, I don't think that's natural. And that came after Radke shut him down on Monday night, won a complete game against him.
He's got good stuff. And if he's cheating out there, that's hard to detect. They got all 4 eyes of the umpires out there watching always, and that's a compliment. Whenever a pitcher, whenever a player thinks a pitcher's doctoring the baseball, that makes the pitcher feel good about his action.
And Radke took that as a compliment. He said, there's no way I'm doing that. And in fact, he said, you know what, I was going to send him a jar of Vaseline just as a joke, but I decided not to do it.
Well, hitters never want to give credit when credit's due. You could see him. He's got that little 2-seam grip. Takes a pitcher a long time to learn how to control the movement.
1 ball and 2 strikes on DiSarcina now. Well, Radke won 20 games back in 1997, the best year that he's had in the big leagues. And that season he finished 3rd in the Cy Young voting behind Roger Clemens and Randy Johnson. And you're right, it seems like every year, once the trading deadline approaches, he is the first guy they talk about in trading for off this Minnesota staff. But the Twins have been reluctant to part with him, and here he is. Got him on strikes. DiSarcina is out number 2 in the inning. And for Radke, that'll be his first strikeout of the game.
You can see this 2-seamer here just runs right in and down. DiSarcina, that's a tough pitch to hit.
Darren Erstad now. And every time Darren comes to Minneapolis, friends and family from North Dakota are here as well. And Darren has some fans and friends and family in attendance tonight here. No balls in 1 strike.
I remember when they called him up in '96, his rookie year, and we came to the Metrodome because I was a member of the Angels. And wow, he had a huge crowd from Dakota. I mean, there must have been 50, 60 people here, and they made it known. They had signs, and they're just very proud of Erstad, and they should be.
Well, there you go. Here's at least 5 of them tonight from Jamestown, North Dakota. They love Darren Erstad.
Need to hold that sign up so we can get a better look at it, but it said
he's going to kill us for showing that. You know that, don't you?
Jonestown loves Darren.
Up the middle and into center field, and a nice catch by Hunter, who kept his feet. But a nice running play. He caught that one about knee high. That'll take the Angels out of the inning. So nothing doing for Anaheim in the 4th. It's 4-1 Angels. Anaheim Angels baseball on KCAL 9 is brought to you by Creighton. Visit your auto parts headquarters today and let's work together. And by McDonald's. Did somebody say McDonald's? At the Metrodome in Minneapolis, Angels lead the Twins 4-1. Anaheim looking for win number 4 in a row. And Joe Madden watching Mo Vaughn have a big game, jumping out to a quick lead against Brad Radke. Chuck Finley has surrendered just 1 run. Marty Cordova starts it off for the Twins in the 4th inning. Cordova hitless in 1 at bat in this ball game. Bouncing out to Gary DiSarcina back in the 1st. Finley retired 6 straight before the leadoff single by Todd Walker in the 3rd. And the count quickly 0-2.
You can see Cordova, he was swinging at that first pitch, and that's smart for these Minnesota Twins to try to get the fastball before he gets to that split finger. But 0-2, almost count on a split finger. That was a fastball away, though.
Well, Chuck had a little trouble with his lower back and missed his last start. Normally he's out there for every start, but he took a turn off. And he just missed 2-2 on Cordova. Now Finley has had 9 consecutive starts in which he has pitched into the 7th inning. And that's an impressive stat. So he has been around, and we've talked about how well he has pitched in the 2nd half and has given up very few runs in his last 3 starts. And almost got Cordova there on the split finger pitch. 2-2. And as a hitter, Rex, you know that pitch is coming, but sometimes it just doesn't make a difference, does it? It's like Tom Gordon. You know the curveball's coming, but sometimes it doesn't matter.
Just difficult to hit, especially any pitch that moves down in the zone. It's a lot more difficult to try to gauge it as a hitter. You can pretty much expect it's coming.
On the ground is short. On the backhand, Gary DiSarcina. 1 away. So Cordova grounds to DiSarcina for the 2nd time tonight. That brings up Terry Steinbach. And as a former infielder, you played on the turf, you played on the grass. There are advantages to both, aren't there?
Sure are. As a defensive player like DiSarcina, that ball was hit on the line to his backhand. The backhand plays one of the most difficult plays, but DiSar didn't have any problem with it because there's no bad hops on artificial turf, so you can pretty much expect you're going to get good hops. In the grass and dirt infield, you just never know when that little pebble is going to come up and it's going to take a bad hop. So you have a little better advantage on defense, and also it makes a good guy who has speed about a half step quicker.
Steinbach in the air, right field. Salmon on the move, still going at the wall, leaps and makes the catch. Tim Salmon with a leaping play in right. And there are 2 outs in the 4th inning. So Salmon able to get back to the wall, measure it, and haul it in.
You can see he had a tough time picking that ball up. It's hard off this Metrodome roof, and he comes down. Nice leaping catch, but you can see he might have twisted his ankle just a little bit on the base of the wall. He comes up and kind of jars himself, and you can see he's coming up with just a little gimp, but Salmon, he's tough.
May have been the hip against the brace on that wall out there, but he's all right. Ron Coomer, the batter. Finley looking for another 1-2-3 inning. He shut down the side in the 1st and 2nd. When you come into this ballpark, Rex, how many games does it take in a series before you're really comfortable, or are you never really comfortable?
Well, you never are really, but you know, a couple games in, you're kind of getting the idea. Plus the early work, guys come out early, the coaches hit you fly balls, so you're able to get kind of a read on that difficult ceiling to pick up the ball if you're an outfielder. And the outfield's different too. You can see it's almost like a glad bag around the outfield there in right field, and when it hits off of that, it's just a tarp. It kind of just goes in there and dies. It doesn't really kick off that wall, so you have to run all the way to the wall.
In the air to left center, Edmonds on the run, still on the move, and he makes the catch. And so the Angels in the outfield sparkling in this inning. No runs, no hits, nobody left. Angels lead it 4-1. Back in the Metrodome in Minneapolis, Angels lead it. Game 1 in this series, 4-1, as we play in the top of the 5th. Tim Salmon robbing Terry Steinbach in the last half inning on a leaping catch, Rex.
Yes, and he knows exactly where he's positioning himself. He comes down, he kind of cringes a little because he might have twisted his ankle or his knee on that play going against the wall, but he seems to be fine. And see that behind the glad bag out there is a post that's holding that wall together.
And that's probably what Salmon's hip meant, that post behind the wall. And so Salmon cringing a bit. In the inning for the Angels, it'll be Edmonds, Salmon, and then Vaughn. Edmonds an RBI double, 1 ball and no strikes. Edmonds now has hit safely in 4 consecutive games.
Starting to get his timing back and rounding into the dangerous hitter that he's become. And when he's on, you can tell he's hitting that ball to left field with authority, and that's where 2 of his home runs have come recently. 1 off Roger Clemens.
2 balls and no strikes now on Edmonds.
Radke's fallen behind. Doesn't walk very many guys, so he'll be trying to come in there. Be interesting to see if Edmonds swings. Sometimes when a hitter's going good and he's got some power, the manager will go ahead and let him swing 3-0. Normally a guy with no power won't. Well, that's an automatic take.
Well, there's Chuck Finley, and back in 1997, when Finley was in the middle of his 14-game winning streak, which is a career high for the Angels and a franchise high, as Edmonds takes a walk. Brad Radke was the co-pitcher of the month with Chuck Finley, and they both had terrific months in July of 1997. Finley goes on to win 14 straight. He was co-pitcher of the month with Radke, who was 6-0 that month. So these 2 guys have a little bit of a past that has been very impressive, especially a couple of years ago. And Chuck on the better end of it so far tonight.
Radke gave up his walk for the night. That's about all he usually gives up.
1 ball and no strikes. Don't expect many more out of Brad Radke.
Walks usually come back to haunt you. More times than not, they end up scoring. Jim Edmonds, he's been stealing some bases and he come back. He's got 5 stolen bases. He's been caught twice. So he might try to take a pitch and steal one. Madden has let his base runners have the green light, so they're able to run whenever they can get a jump. You normally try to pick a breaking ball, an off-speed pitch to steal on. Your percentages are much higher because the breaking pitch takes longer to get to home plate.
On the ground left side, diving stop Gates to second one. Relay not in time. What a play by Brent Gates. Saving a base hit. Salmon aboard in the fielder's choice, and Gates will get a nice round of applause for that play.
Listen, how about Cletus Davidson? Look at now. Gates gives him a nice throw, and Cletus goes ahead and tries to turn it with Edmonds bearing down on him. I like that. He's gutsy, and he's just in his first week in the big leagues. And there's Gator stretched out nice, and whenever you dive on that artificial turf, that really hurts. I mean, I can't imagine football players how they have 2 or 3 other guys landing on top of them, but carpets, you know, it's like, hey, if anybody wants to know what that feels like, go in your living room, clear the table, you know, the coffee table away, and go out and do a dive on it and see how your neck feels.
0-1 on Mo Vaughn. I'm going to have to pass on that invitation, but point well taken, Rex.
Well, and when you do that, you'll also come up with some carpet burns, and that's the same feel. This artificial turf is just not meant to play baseball or any sport on, as far as I'm concerned. But they're slowly doing away with the artificial turf. These new stadiums, originally they put the turf in so it would be better to play on in weather. You know, you didn't have as many cancellations and things like that, but now the drainage systems, new improved stadiums they have with real grass, it's really made a difference. That stuff burns too. It's not like a grass burn. A grass burn has natural healing in the grass. But that plastic there, when you get burned on that stuff, it bubbles up and stays with you for a while. Sometimes it can get infected, the burns.
Oh, Vaughn has had a big game, and he's behind in the count 1-2.
Pull the string on Mo. Nice pitch, little changeup. He came out of his shoes and almost lost his hitting pad on his elbow. He's hit that home run in his last at bat on an inside fastball, so I think Radke's going with his off-speed pitches.
Salmon holds at first. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Well, we've talked about the Metrodome, and they are hopeful of a new stadium here in the Twin Cities, but not necessarily in Minneapolis. They have a referendum coming up in a couple of months concerning a half-cent sales tax to build a stadium in St. Paul. And the Metrodome has housed the Minnesota Twins since 1982. Runner goes on 2-2, and Vaughn fouls it back. But they will vote in a couple of months. And the way the breakdown is that the new owners, and certainly that's one of the obstacles right now, the new owners would have to pay a third. The half-cent sales tax would cover a third, and the state would cover a third. And that's how a new ballpark would be funded. But they will have that referendum voted on in a couple of months to see whether or not St. Paul will get a new stadium and the Twins stay here.
I wonder if it'll be a retractable roof. Hopefully they won't have it made with artificial turf.
The 2-2 to Vaughn, up the middle and into center field. A base hit. Salmon will pull into second, and Vaughn is 3 for 3 in this one. 2 singles and a 2-run homer. And the Angels coming up their remaining home games against the Orioles, the 17th through the 19th. Tampa Bay will be in town next. And then to close out the season, the final homestand, the Oakland A's in town, the 28th through the 30th, and then Texas in a 3-game series to close out the year. So the Angels starting to wind them down, and they will play a couple of teams right now that are in the playoff hunt late in the season, late toward the end of September, Oakland and Texas.
They could play spoiler. Really set back those Oakland A's who were trying for that wild card spot. And Gloss, he took a rip.
Troy Gloss doubled his last time up. One of the 9 Angels hits in this ball game.
The Angels have been playing on that full throttle. Last week or so, Collins stepped down. It's just Madden took over. It seemed like kind of just loosened up everybody and said on with the show.
Played well against the Yankees, swept the White Sox. Troy Gloss, with his double back in the 3rd inning, now has 26 for the year, which trails Garrett Anderson, who has a team high 31. The 1-1 popped him up. Don't think Coomer will have room. He won't. Back out of play.
Nice hustling attempt to get it. But Cal Ripken's coming to town. He is. There's a nice catch by the man here. He's pretty pumped.
Souvenir without a glove. Caught it barehanded.
It's amazing you see some of the catches that these fans make without a glove. I wouldn't even attempt.
Now that's not true. I saw you catch a foul ball in the booth earlier this season on a game I happened to be doing. That is not true. That thing was screaming back at us. That thing was a foul ball that came directly back into the booth. And as I was hovering out of the way, the HUD man stands up and says, stand aside, let me take care of this.
Yeah, but
and you snatched that thing.
It was right at me. I had no choice. Catch it or get plunked. And I'm kind of happy with my facial features like they are. I don't want to get caught with a foul ball.
Ooh, Gloss is caught there. 2 outs, and he says, I don't think so.
Well, let's see where this one was. It was a little bit down. But Jim Joyce pulls that chainsaw out and says, you're gone.
And 2 strikeouts now for Brad Radke. So Gloss 1 for 3. And with 2 outs now, Garrett Anderson will step in. Garrett a single back in the 2nd. Radke throws a strike.
Well, Garrett Anderson, you talked about his doubles. He's always hitting doubles. Good spray hitter. been amongst the team leaders in doubles the last 5 years. He does that. He likes the ball out over the plate and up. High ball hitter. He reaches down for the low one.
Here comes Cordova to make the catch and a dive in right. Marty Cordova. A tumbling play in right field, and that's all for the Angels in the 5th inning. Marty Cordova with a terrific catch in right, and the Angels hold on to their 4-1 lead. 4-1 in favor of the Angels, and Chuck Finley retiring the side 1-2-3 in the 4th inning. He has 4 strikeouts so far in this ball game, and Rex, one of the big pitches has been the forkball, as it normally is, and it's been successful tonight.
Well, there's a difference between the two. A split finger is you have a little wide grip there on the outside part of the seams. Now that's a split, and it has a downward movement but has fastball rotation. Now the forkball, you spread your fingers a lot wider, and it has more of a tumbling effect, and you can see that as a hitter. You got to have big long fingers though to get that grip on that forkball like that. Difficult for hitters to hit. I wish they would have never invented the pitch in the first place.
Well, I tell you what, the deception part of it is the big part, and Finley has had that going tonight. And Chuck Finley with 4 strikeouts in 4 innings hasn't walked a batter. Chad Allen takes up high, 1 ball, 1 strike. Finley has retired the Twins in order 3 of the 4 innings so far in this one. Allen, Walker, and Hunter here in the 5th, and he's ahead of Chad Allen 1-2.
Chad Allen, he's a very aggressive player. He says, I'm going to play hard. I'll run through a wall if I have to for my pitchers, and he's got good speed, and he does the little things. He'll try to steal a base when the infielders are walking back to their position when the pitcher's holding the ball on the mound.
That's aggressive.
Yeah, and he does the little things. Now, his father, Jack, played in the NFL as a running back with the Buffalo Bills and the Washington Redskins. He's got that football mentality.
He's ahead in the count, and Allen, an all-conference selection at Texas A&M. In fact, he was a teammate of Ryan Roop at Texas A&M, the fine young pitcher for Tampa Bay. Finley's 3-2 on the ground to third. Gloss across the diamond in time, 1 away.
That's a smart pitch by Finley. 3-2 as a hitter. You're expecting a fastball, and he throws you a split finger. And the ball, if the split finger's hittable, you usually hit the top half of it and keeps the infielders on their toes.
Todd Walker now for the Minnesota Twins. Singleton scored back in the 3rd inning. The Twins' only run tonight.
You know, Mario, coming here and playing as a member of the California Angels when I played in 94, 95, 96, spent some special moments here. We were here when they retired Rod Carew's number, and they had a Rod Day, and then we were here when they retired Kirby Puckett and Kent Herbeck, and one of the reasons was because Rod Carew was a part of the team, and they wanted Rod to be a part of those special moments. Packed house here for all of those occasions, and those are kind of some of the things that you really cherish as a player, to be around when special moments like that occur.
Well, they've had some great players here. Kirby Puckett has had his number retired. Kent Herbeck. And Finley missing up high, 3-1. Killebrew.
Like that. They don't just have the number, they have a picture of him. There's Rod Carew.
You can't miss those.
Rod had a couple bats in his hand there.
That's how he did
Tony
it.
Oliva. Yes.
No, Rodney didn't need 2 bats.
Kent Herbeck. He was a treat.
3 balls and 2 strikes now on Todd Walker. And a look at the Angels hitting instructor, Rod Carew.
Sitting next to Leon Durham. He was a good baseball player with the Cubs. That was a good shot of Rod. Nice special effect here. They give you the picture as well as the number.
Full count on Todd Walker. Finley's strikeout total is 4. He has retired 6 in a row.
Walker got a knock and he scored their only run back in the 3rd inning.
In the air to center. Edmonds has a beat on this one. 2 outs. Weeknights at 6:30 on KCAL 9. It's action that's out of the blue and it's in your face. It's an all new season of real TV. Weeknights at 6:30 on KCAL 9. You love that show, don't you?
Oh, I'm getting worked up thinking about it. It is real. I like those real life shots. I need to start bringing my video camera on the road with me so I can possibly get on the show someday with some footage I could get.
You may be in some of those shots.
I like it.
These guys may have been in one episode along the way.
They were. Real TV showed one time where the deer was putting a beating on a guy. I saw that this deer was just knocking the far out of this guy, and I couldn't believe he was taking it. That was, you know, and the guy was sitting there, and this deer was up there just raking him, and I think maybe those guys were part of that.
Well, it could have been. It could have been. 0-2 the count. Now, well, maybe the guy on the right was.
That is outstanding.
Look at the guy on the far
like
right.
That character.
Oh, it's a girl. I'm sorry. Look at the girl on the far right. I don't know these two.
Really, she wants no part of them.
Finley's 0-2 pitch. On the ground to third, and Gloss has this one as well. And down goes Hunter, and down go the Twins. 1-2-3 in the 5th inning. Nothing across. We go to the 6th inning. 4-1 Angels. Don't shoot. 4-1 Angels lead it. And these two are having a ball here. In from the forest.
Ah, that's a tremendous costume. I like those. They're all fired up. Deer season is upon us as fall starts to creep in up here in the north now. It's a little bit cooler, but I was walking around.
And how about this? We have some KCAL 9 fans here tonight.
All right.
Making the trek out to Minneapolis.
All right, brother, you're welcome.
Jeff Houston leads it off against Brad Radke.
You know, it's about 50 out. It was about 50 degrees out there this morning. And I saw somebody on the street and I said, it's kind of cool. They said, what? It doesn't start getting cool till it's below, till it's about 20 degrees or so.
You can't come to the Midwest and say it's kind of cool out unless it's November or December. People just don't believe it.
They're like, this is nice. I saw shorts and T-shirts out there, and it was a little bit nippy.
2-1 on Jeff Houston now, who starts things off in the 6th inning. Houston had the big hit on Wednesday night. Game-winning double in the 10th inning of play.
Matt Walbeck, he pinch hit. He scored the run.
Cordova with another tumbling play out there in right field. So Marty Cordova, who has taken some heat in his career here in Minnesota for his defensive skills, has looked very good tonight out in right field.
You can't catch this unless you get a jump on it right away, and you can see he does. And look at that right hand. He puts it down on the carpet. There's a burn. It burns. And Jeff Houston, it burns him that he robbed him of a single there. Houston's been getting robbed a lot lately. He's been hitting the ball very well.
Benji Molina now. Benji 1 for 2, a base hit his last time. I'm talking about Jeff Houston. He had that game-winning hit on Wednesday night, and he was excited because his folks were there to see it. And he doubled in that run in the 10th inning. Line toward left, and another hit for Benji Molina. Allen cuts it off. Big turn for Molina. He will pull in with a single. And our American League scoreboard tonight brought to you by Ford. In the 8th inning, Seattle over Baltimore by a run. Oakland shutting out Tampa Bay in the 8th. Boston edging the Yanks in a big series there for both of those teams, more so the Red Sox. Detroit being doubled up by Toronto. KC over Texas, and Cleveland beating up on Chicago tonight. Here it is 4-1. Angels looking for their 4th consecutive win. Gary DeSarcina bunts down the third base line, barehanded by Radke, but he can't hold on. And so DiSarcina with a bunt single, his second hit tonight.
That's a knock for DiSar as he gets soft. Tries to sneak one in there. That's a nice bunt.
So 2 for 3 now for Gary DiSarcina, and Terry Steinbach having a chat with Brad Radke.
You can see you want to try to get that down the third base line. You want to keep it away from the pitcher, but Radke does a do-or-die play by barehanding it, and he just wasn't able to get a grip. That's a knock. Look at him. Good technique. He puts his head down. He's a runner. He's thinking about it. And Radke couldn't come up with it.
So DiSarcina is aboard. Darren Erstad now looking for his first hit. I still can't get over that deer visual you were giving me a couple of innings ago.
Well, that's just what it had, just the way it was. Real TV, they show it real. And I was beside myself. I was laughing so hard I couldn't breathe. Then they went on and showed some more footage of animals, you know.
Well, all right, we'll just stop it there.
Sorry. Don't get me going.
No, I better not. The 1-0 pitch. 1-1 on Erstad rather, with DiSarcina at first and Molina at second.
Erstad looking to make some of his fans happy. It came from North Dakota.
Darren, a 4-game hitting streak. Ground ball, a pop up, and a fly out in this one. This one on the ground is second. Davidson will go to second, one there, and that's all they get. Erstad aboard on the fielder's choice. DiSarcina forced at second. And again, not the easiest play for Cletus Davidson down at second base.
No, but he's showing me some confidence. He's able to get on top of that throw. That's important from second.
There's Cletus Davidson playing second base.
He's got some real talent. Talking about him and Jerry Harrison, the shortstop or the second baseman for the Baltimore Orioles. He's a young second baseman. Comparing those two together is all-around talent.
And there is Troy Percival, who has dropped his appeal of the 3-game suspension that he had handed down. And Troy will start that suspension beginning on Sunday. 1 ball and no strikes on Edmonds. So Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, the first game of the doubleheader on Tuesday in Kansas City, the Angels will be without Troy Percival. He will serve that 3-game suspension. There's Ken Hill in the bullpen these days, sitting next to him. Steve Sparks to his left. So a couple of starters, former starters, surrounding the closer. 1 ball, 1 strike on Edmonds, and Hill and Sparks to the pen to make some room for some of the youngsters that have been called up, Rex. And tomorrow we see Ramon Ortiz in this series.
Yes, and they've been impressive. Ortiz has been good. He has only had one bad outing in his 3 starts, and you can see the bullpen's kind of crowded. Mick Billmeyer down there, him and Steve Sparks are entertaining him. Mick Billmeyer, he's the bullpen catcher. Quite a character.
The 1-1 to Edmonds, 2 balls and 1 strike. Ortiz tomorrow, but on Sunday on KCAL, Jared Washburn will throw. And then on Monday, also on KCAL, Brian Cooper will get another start. And what a start to his career. Winning his big league debut against the Chicago White Sox. So the youngsters will get an opportunity to pitch in this series.
This is normally what happens when a team's far out of the race like the Angels are. It's time to evaluate some of the younger talent. And the Angels are well stocked in young pitchers.
Well, the bench these days is quite full.
Brett Hemphill there. He's going to get some catching in this series. Let's see Chuck Finley, and there's Al Levine grooming his nails. Mike Holtz in the back, and Mick Billmeyer.
Three balls and 2 strikes now on Jim Edmonds.
This is normally a fastball situation, 3-2. We'll see if Edmonds is going to sit on it, but of course with a 2-seam sinking action on that fastball that Radke has, it won't be a straight one.
The Angels runners. And Edmonds fights off another. Well, Jim Edmonds, an RBI double back in the third. His 16th RBI of the season. I asked him before the game whether or not he likes to play in dome stadiums more than open air stadiums. He said it really doesn't matter. The ball carries a little bit more here, but when you play on the turf, there are positives and negatives, just like for the infielders as well. You get good jumps on the ball, but if you have to dive, look out.
Erstad will be running.
And ripped foul by Edmonds.
3-2 count with 2 outs. They send the base runner from first in case Edmonds is able to hit the ball in the gap. That should score score Erstad easily. Darren runs very well.
You know, the Angels really don't have any speed burners on this team, but they do have players that can run the base as well. Erstad is among them. Edmonds, Salmon, DiSarcina, Garrett Anderson, and Joe Madden realizes that, and he likes to start his runners. We've seen a lot of that in the week that he's been the interim manager. On the move again is the runner from first, but strike 3 called on Jim Edmonds. So the Angels are turned away after a couple of hits in the 6th. We played 5.5, 4-1 Angels. Jump out to a quick lead against the Twins, and Cletus Davidson to face Chuck Finley to start things off in the bottom of the 6th. Davidson a single back in the 3rd inning. He is out at second base tonight. Christian Guzman is not playing. He is serving his suspension in an altercation charging the mound in a game against Toronto. 1 ball and 1 strike, and Guzman went after Paul Spoljaric and emptied the benches in that one. He was handed down a 3-game suspension, decided to appeal, then said, "No, I'll take it."
Well, he was guilty.
It's kind of hard to dispute the tape when you're running out to the mound. Davidson takes a called third, and Finley another strikeout, his 5th of the game now, and Finley is on a roll, and that brings up the top of the order Denny Hocking. So Chuck Finley, 2nd in the American League in strikeouts. Nobody will catch Pedro Martinez in the American League, but Chuck with 5 more tonight. But it's a pretty good group right there.
Pedro Martinez, he's dealing tonight. He's got a 1-hitter going. His Red Sox are up. There's no stopping him.
Strike called on Denny Hocking. His sacrifice fly in the 3rd inning gave the Twins their only run so far.
Kind of looks like the Boston Red Sox might be the wild card winners. I mean, it's still a lot of games to play, but starting to get a little bit of a cushion.
Couldn't hold up, and the count is 0-2. Well, Texas starting to lengthen their lead now in the American League West. And that wild card coming into play tonight, Boston over Oakland by 3. So the A's have been a surprise. I don't think there's any doubt about that, Rex.
They've been tough, especially with the addition of the former Angels, Olivares and Velarde.
And again, chasing is Hocking for strike 3. Molina will complete the strikeout. And Chuck Finley now has struck out 6 in the game. There are 2 outs. And Finley continues to cruise along. 9 in a row set down by the Angels left-hander.
Well, the attendance tonight, 11,200, have come out to support their team. It's been crowds like that most of the year here in Minnesota. It's a small market team. Wow.
These guys are here with the deer, I think.
Well, they
are.
They already got their camouflage outfits on.
Brent Gates the batter. 1 ball, no strikes.
I think the camouflage is there to protect the deer that are in the stands.
Popped up the bunt. Molina never located it. 1 ball and 1 strike. Well, they could be here to hunt them as well.
Well, you're right. They're in camo, so there's Benji Molina. Look at them. They're trying to everything they can. Now, I thought that the pajama party was tomorrow.
Yeah, it is. Now you run the gambit here. You've got the deer, you've got the camouflage.
Look at the guy sleeping right in front.
And you've got a guy camping out and sleeping.
All they need is a tent. Of course they have it. We're in the Metrodome.
That is true.
Look at that guy. He's catching up on some Z's.
2 balls and 2 strikes now on Brent Gates. Well, Finley is in search of another victory against the Minnesota Twins. It would be his 17th lifetime. He came in at 16-14 and an ERA of a shade under 4. And he just missed there. 3-2.
He would have liked to have that.
Brent Gates 0 for 2 in this one. Ground ball and a strikeout.
Finley might come with a split finger here.
Full count pitch, and it's hit on the ground to second base. Corralled there by Houston, and again 3 up and 3 down for the Twins. 3rd consecutive inning. 10 straight set down by Finley. Angels lead it 4-1. Back in the Metrodome in Minneapolis as the Angels lead this one. Game 1 in a 4-game series. We go to the top of the 7th, and the Angels coming up with some quick runs. 1 in the 1st and 3 more in the 3rd to lead it 4-1. And Brad Radke back to the mound. He'll face Tim Salmon to start things off here in the 7th inning. Tim Salmon in this one, a double for 3. Doubled and scored back in the 1st, a 2-out 2-base hit, and Mo Vaughn was able to pick him up with an RBI single. Radke has been in a lot of trouble tonight, in and out of trouble. And he throws a strike on Salmon. 0-1.
How about the Cleveland Indians? Well, they got news of them clinching the title while they were on the airplane, and then there was a couple handshakes. No big deal. They expected to win it all. They brought 15 men to the plate and scored 10 runs, all with 2 outs against the Chicago White Sox.
Their offense hasn't quit, has it?
No. It's good to see that they don't score runs like that just against the Angels.
Nobody is immune tonight. The White Sox.
Well, that's a 2-out rally.
10 of the runs scoring with 2 outs. That is a 2-out rally. The 0-2 to Salmon. Fisted foul. Well, the Angels have Minnesota in a 4-game series here. On to Kansas City next, and the month of September has kicked into gear for the Angels. Trying to finish strong. I don't think there's any doubt about that. That's all that Joe Maddon is looking for. And as he mentioned a little bit earlier, he will give his regulars some playing time.
Tim Wilkie says, he did not go. There's Tim. We go back to A-ball together. They teamed him up with Pam Postema, the only female umpire.
Toward left field, and that ball is down, a base hit. Allen plays it on the hop, and Tim Salmon with a leadoff single in the 7th. And Tim Salmon with 2 hits now, and the Angels have 12 hits on the board in this one against Brad Radke. Well, speaking of Tim Salmon, Angels fans, don't forget it's Tim Salmon Bammer Bear Night coming up Saturday, September the 18th at Edison International Field. The Angels take on the Baltimore Orioles, and the first 10,000 kids 12 and under receive a Tim Salmon Bammer Bear. For tickets, visit the Edison Field box office or call the Angels charge line at 714-663-9000. Big night for Mo Vaughn. 3 hits and make it 4 hits. A solid single to right. Salmon will move to second, and Mo Vaughn with 3 singles and a 2-run homer tonight. And 13 Angels hits.
Mo is starting to get on track. Every player, it's important to finish strong. So they'll never ask you as a player, how'd you start? They'll say, how'd you finish up? Like to finish on a high note. Especially the kind of the season the Angels have had this year. They haven't played very well. Coming in, I mean, they're starting to play their game now here in September.
Well, Salmon and Vaughn have combined for 6 of the 13 Angels hits in this one. Troy Gloss. Swing and a miss. We do have some action in the Twins pen. It's lefty Eddie Guardado. He will start to warm up. And Tom Kelly watching Radke give up 2 more hits here in the 7th. Tom Kelly a little bit concerned here as ball club trails 4-1. But Radke is the type of guy that likes to go the distance. 1 ball and 1 strike.
might need a little help tonight.
Well, he may. He has 4 complete games this year.
Dick Such, pitching coach.
Dick Such played with the Washington Senators for 1 season, his only season in the big leagues. In the air, shallow left field. Allen coming in, still coming, and he makes the catch. And the runners will hold, so Gloss 1 for 4 now.
Gloss just misses this. He gets under it just a hair. Nice swing, but he knows he missed it. He's saying, oh.
2 men on base, and I just missed it.
Game of inches.
Garrett Anderson now. Anderson is single for 3 in this one. Earlier this season, the Angels played the Twins in a 3-game series late July at Edison Field, and Brad Radke threw 1 of 3 complete games in that series by the Twins. But Radke has been roughed up a bit tonight, and a strike called on Anderson. Garrett, an 11-game hitting streak now. Anderson on the ground to second. Davidson will go to second. 1 of the relay is in time for the double play. And that's all for the Angels in the 7th. So again, Radke is able to sidestep some trouble. Davidson starts the Twin killing. 4-1 Angels. It's time now for our Chevrolet baseball moment. We go back to September 8th, 1996. Jim Abbott on the mound, and when Ron Coomer grounds one down the third base line, third to second to first, a triple play.
Okay, coming to the base. Coming to the base here. I'm going, oh no, there's only 1 out.
Rex Hudler.
I said, oh, is there no outs or 1? I remember he touched the base, and I'm going, oh, I better turn it anyway just to make it look good. Thank goodness.
Hud, what a turn. What a turn. Now, being a part of a triple play is a pretty good accomplishment. You don't see those things very often.
That was fun, and we did it the tough way, around the horn, Cactus Jack, and I remember I was like, I think there's just 1 out or 2. I forgot the outs, but I went ahead and turned it in. And Jimmy Abbott, what a pleasure to play behind that man. He's one of my heroes, and he retired this summer, but was happy. We went on and won that ball game for him, and that was only 1 of the 3 wins he got all year. That was the year he lost 18 games or something like that, but what a treat.
Marty Cordova leads it off with the Angels on top 4-1. Now, you were at second base. You weren't sure how many outs you needed there. What if there were 3 outs on that throw to second and you throw to first?
I would have been embarrassed, and it wouldn't have been the first time.
Chuck Finley back to work, and he misses up high. Well, Finley is not embarrassed at all about this effort. He has retired 10 in a row now. And 1-2 the count.
Cactus Jack Howell, he's still playing with the Houston Astros. He's had a lot of injury trouble this year.
Just missed on the 1-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Where did Cactus Jack come from? How did that nickname come?
Well, he's from Tucson.
Tucson, I got you.
I had the pleasure of playing with him in Japan. He was my only other American teammate.
Finley just missing again. Full count now on Marty Cordova.
He's working that little breaking ball in the outside part, trying to get a backdoor call strike.
Marty Cordova hitless in 2 at-bats tonight. Finley has not allowed a hit since the 3rd when Cletus Davidson singled. And it has been smooth sailing since for the Angels left-hander. And Chuck trying to get back up to that 500 mark. He is 8-11 coming in. And again, the full count pitch. And he lost him. Ball 4. about a little trivia tonight? Brought to you by Edison International. The Angels have completed 6 triple plays in their history. The most recent occurred on July 5th, 1997 against the Seattle Mariners. And the Angels have had a few in their history. Here's the ball hit toward left center. On the move is Anderson. On the move is Edmonds. And Edmonds with the play. 1 away now. Retreating to first base is Cordova. June 26, 1970 at Kansas City. That was the first one in Angels history. In 72 here at Minnesota. 77 at Seattle. 77 at Minnesota. The 96 one we just talked about. And 97 in Seattle. So the Angels have been part of a few, but none as pretty as the one you turned, Hud.
Oh, way to pump me up. I'd forgotten I'd played until I saw myself in action. I appreciate you guys putting that on there.
Ron Coomer, the batter now. Swing and a miss.
That's Chuck McKean, our tremendous producer here for KCAL. He didn't leave me hanging.
Well, now every time you come to the Metrodome, you've got to be thinking about that play. I mean, do you go into certain ballparks when you go and travel around the league and remember about certain things or maybe certain plays that you were involved in?
Oh, you certainly do. And it's been a privilege playing Major League Baseball and just to be a part of the action.
Fenway Park, your debut with the Yankees, that has to be something that sticks in your mind.
That in my last days as a Major League player was in Fenway Park with the Phillies. Cal Ripken and the Orioles at Camden Yards, had some fun moments there.
Which brings up an interesting point. Where does that rank on your thrills as a player, being part of the Ripken night when he broke the Lou Gehrig record?
Well, that's right there at the top. That was the highlight of my career, just to be involved with a game of that magnitude. There'll be many more All-Star games and many more World Series, but there will never ever be another game like that one where Cal Ripken broke Lou Gehrig's record. 31-21. I was playing second base, watching Cal take that victory lap around the ballpark, and just goosebumps, man. Big old goosebumps.
Cordova back in safely at first base.
Cordova, that's Finley's only walk tonight. He's been right around that plate. Big Chuck, Raging Cajun from Louisiana.
And Coomer fouls off another. Cordova down at first base has 12 stolen bases, but late in the game here, down by 3 runs, he is not likely to run. But he can steal one if needed. Mo Vaughn holding the runner.
There's Jerry White, the first base coach. He's a good Major League ball player.
Jerry White had 11 years in the big leagues. Also played some time in Japan as well. And Finley misses high and inside. Ron Gardenhire flashing the signs down at third base.
Good baseball mind at third base. Excellent coach.
2-2 on Coomer. And he got him. Nope, he fouled it off. He just got a piece of it to stay alive. So Coomer avoids the strikeout for at least another pitch. Finley has fanned 6.
Best you can do is hit the top half of the ball with a split finger. That's what Coomer does. Just barely gets a piece of it and buy him another pitch. And that's a good ground ball pitch. Finley looking for a double play in this situation.
Cordova with the lead at first base. 1 foot on the turf, 1 on the dirt. And he got him that time. So Coomer is down on strikes, and another one in the strikeout column for Chuck Finley.
That's why Finley's amongst the league leading strikeouts. Just that devastating split finger. You know it's coming. All the hitters, I was over there talking about him today, said, what you going to do against Chuck? They said, well, if we're trying to swing early so we don't have to get to that split finger.
Chad Allen now with 2 outs. Allen hitless in 2 at-bats, a strikeout and a ground out. 1 ball and no strikes. Well, for Chuck Finley, 8-11 this season. And if he can manage to get up to the 500 mark by the end of the year, it would have to give him a lot of momentum going into spring training 2000.
Plus salary drive. He's going to be a free agent at the end of this year, and he wants his numbers to look as nice as possible.
Oh, yeah, forgot about that. Fouled back, 1 ball, 1 strike. Here's a Ron Gardenhire. Gardenhire with the Mets from 81 through 85. He's out of University of Texas.
Got a little bit of big league time, and we played against each other in the minor leagues. Hard ball player.
Cordova with his eyes on Finley. The 1-1 to Allen. 2 balls and 1 strike. Chad Allen out of DeSoto, Texas. He was a 4th-round pick in 1996 by the Minnesota Twins. Born in Dallas, living in DeSoto. Went on to play at Texas A&M. And he was one of 3 Olympians drafted by the Twins in '96. Travis Lee and Jack Jones, the other 2. And Jack Jones on this ball club is not starting tonight. Travis Lee, you may have heard that story, is now with the Arizona Diamondbacks. He was originally drafted by this Minnesota team, and he got away from the Twins, a technicality in the way they signed him, and he became a free agent and signed elsewhere. Allen in the minor leagues has showed some power. He has 8 home runs this year. Finley's 2-2. Missed the corner away. 3 balls and 2 strikes now on Chad Allen. Like Pedro Martinez through 7 innings now, 12 strikeouts. So Pedro continues to add to that American League high. Todd Walker is on deck. Walker has scored the only run so far for the Minnesota Twins. Allen fights off another.
Three and two outs. Cordova will be running. There's Joe Madden, Larry Boa checking out the cards and the possibilities. And managers always think ahead. 1 or 2 outs, or even 1 or 2 innings ahead.
Runner goes on 3-2, hit in the air. Left center field, Garrett Anderson makes the catch. And Finley still cruising along despite the leadoff walk here in the 7th. 4-1 Angels. Four to 1 Angels lead it. We go to the top of the 8th inning at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. Game 1 in this 4-game series. Look who's next door. Paul
The great
Molitor.
Paul Molitor and Bert Blyleven. Look at him. There he is, one of my heroes, giving me a crabplex. Man, I love him. He's one of my heroes, no doubt. Got to talk to him before the game. Asked him what it felt like to get your 3,000th hit with a triple. He said he liked it because he got to get dirty. And he said he doesn't have a lot of memorabilia hanging in his house, but he has his rookie jersey framed, and he has his 3,000th hit framed, and he never washed the uniform. There they're waving. Look at him.
Bert Blyleven and Paul Molitor, you talk about experience. On the ground toward third, Brent Gates gobbles it up, and 1 away. Houston is down. Molitor played 21 years and Blyleven played 22 years in the big leagues, and so they bring a lot of experience to their broadcast booth.
Yes, they do.
There's Bert on the left.
Awesome. It was just great to play against Molitor. He told me that he had a little story about me. I would be at second base and he'd be on first, and I would yell at him, "Hey, Molly, you got something for me down here? Come and get me, man." And I would bait him to try to knock me down on a double play ball, and he'd look at me and just shake his head like, you know, "You're crazy."
This guy's nuts.
But Hall of Famer, when I was on the same field with him, I would like pinch myself.
Benji Molina, the hitter. He popped it up. Cletus Davidson, he's been busy tonight, and he'll make the play. 2 gone now as Davidson hauls it in. Well, Molitor, with that triple on his 3,000th hit, is the only man to triple for number 3,000. Wade Boggs homered back on August 7th against Chris Haney for his 3,000, but he's the only one to triple.
Impressive.
2 outs for the Angels, and Gary DiSarcina now. Gary 2 for 3 in this one, a couple of singles and a run scored. And Radke starts him off with a strike. Well, you see Brad Radke has given up some hits, but the Angels have not been able to do anything against him since the 3rd. And no balls and 2 strikes now on Gary DiSarcina. Gary with a bunt single back in the 6th inning. Among his 2 hits, he's hitting 4 straight now. Trying to get something going here with 2 outs in the 8th. Radke's 0-2. Hit toward left. Allen is back and reaches to make the play, and a 1-2-3 inning for Brad Radke. Nothing doing for the Angels. We go to the bottom of the 8th. 4-1 Angels. 4-1 Angels as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. The first and only visit of the year for the Angels to this ballpark as they take on the Twins in game 1 in the series. And Chuck Finley, 7 strikeouts, 1 walk. He's done an outstanding job tonight, and only 2 hits given up and barely over 100 pitches.
He's been outstanding. They got some action in the pen. Anytime Finley gets over 100, they want to kind of be close to getting him out of there. Mark Petkaizik's up in the bullpen.
There's Petkaizik, who's had a strong season. 1 ball, 1 strike on Todd Walker, leading things off in the bottom of the 8th. Walker, Hunter, and Davidson due up.
You know, Mario, on a sadder note, all of baseball was very sad to hear about Catfish Hunter passing on. And he was a great human being and a tremendous pitcher. The Yankees paid tribute to Hunter in a few different ways. There was a moment of silence in New York before they played Boston, with public address announcer Bob Shepard telling the crowd Jim Hunter was more than a Hall of Fame pitcher. He was a Hall of Fame human being. And they'll wear a black band under the black number 5 for Joe DiMaggio, who also passed away this summer.
Well, Catfish only 53 years of age, and recently he was quoted as saying the thing that really bothers me about this disease is I've lost the use of my hands, and people ask for autographs and I just can't do it, and that bothered him deeply. And Finley has walked the leadoff man here in the 8th. Only the 2nd walk for Finley.
And that's a disease that they're really trying to figure out a cure for, ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. And Terry Steinbach, he knows a lot about it. His father passed away in April with ALS. He told me before the game today that it starts in your fingers and it kind of works its way on up to the rest of your body. And he said his dad struggled for a couple years. Finally, the disease got the best of him in April. Said it's a very tough thing, and there's a lot of people out there. I know Kurt Schilling does a lot for ALS up in Philadelphia. That's where one of their big centers are for trying to find a cure. And got Catfish Hunter and also Kent Herbeck's father.
Recently as well.
Look at that. Strikeout ALS. They're making advances on the disease, and they're doing everything they can to try to find out what causes it and how to cure it.
Well, the resume of Catfish Hunter was certainly a full one, 5 straight 20-win seasons, through a perfect game, won a Cy Young, Hall of Famer. On a sad note indeed. Finley now facing Torrey Hunter. Protecting a 3-run lead. Leadoff walk to Todd Walker in the 8th. No balls and 1 strike on Hunter. Hunter a strikeout and a ground out tonight.
Finn going to that split finger. That's the play that brings a double play more often because it's hit on the ground. Torrey Hunter runs well. It'll be tough. He'll have to hit it hard for the Angels to turn a double play.
Well, Joe Maddon just had a conversation with Chuck Finley on the mound and trying to determine how much gas is left in the tank. In the air, center field. Edmonds won't get it. A base hit. On his way to third is Walker. He is in standing up, and here come the Twins with an 8th inning rally. Torrey Hunter singles Todd Walker to third. And now decision time for Joe Maddon. He has Mark Petkazik in the pen. The tying run will come to the plate. Cletus Davidson, and Joe Maddon pondering what to do right now. A look at Petkazik, who for the most part this season has been outstanding out of the Angels pen, and a guy that gets a lot of ground balls, double play balls. Davidson is due up, and it looks like he's going to be called back to the bench. Tom Kelly has watched Chuck Finley shut down his team for just about the entire night, but here in the 8th, a leadoff walk to Walker and a single by Hunter, putting runners at first and third. It looks like Doug Mientkiewicz will pick up a bat now and face Finley. So Davidson, the number 9 hitter, will not bat. And Finley trying to keep warm as they decide who to bring up, and it is indeed Mientkiewicz.
This is a interesting move here. Mientkiewicz is a left-handed batter. Bring him in to face the left-handed Chuck Finley. This is a smart move as Finley doesn't throw as many split fingers to left-handed batters. But he's 2 for 5 in his career versus Finley.
Walker at third. Torrey Hunter at first base. Nobody out. Mientkiewicz 0-1 the count.
Finley's velocity is still up there. I think they just first batter he missed on a few pitches, and then the soft hit line drive by Hunter. So the third hit he's given up all evening. Joe Maddon is leaving him in.
The 0-1 from Finley. 0-2 on Mientkiewicz.
Pinch hitting's a tough role. It's a tough duty. You got to be ready to swing the bat when you step in there.
Mientkiewicz being called on right now. He is a graduate of Westminster Christian High School down in Miami, and that was the same high school that produced Alex Rodriguez. Mientkiewicz graduating a year ahead of Rodriguez. Finley's 0-2. Missed it outside.
It was a smart pitch by Big Chuck, keeping it away, not throwing anything out over. Finley has a big curve he throws to left-handers, and it will be interesting to see if he'll break it out here. He'll throw a split finger to left-handers too.
Mientkiewicz stays alive. He went on to play at Florida State and played there with a couple of guys that had played in the big leagues. Paul Wilson, who became a first-round pick for the Mets, and John Wasdid, also a first-round pick. Mientkiewicz, meanwhile, a 5th rounder by the Minnesota Ball Club back in 1995. Trying to keep the rally going here in the 8th with Walker taking his lead at third base. He led things off with a base on balls. And Finley needs a ground ball here. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Mientkiewicz, another one of the many Minnesota Twins that was really called upon to jump up from Double-A. New Britain last year. He had some time briefly with Minnesota. Played in only 8 games last year, but had some good power numbers at Double-A. And he popped it up. Long run for Tim Salmon. Still on the move, and he slides to make the catch. And Walker will put on the brakes at third, and what a play by Salmon. That is a big-time play late in the ball game. Not only does he make the catch, but he holds the runner.
Tim Salmon. Wow, he uses his patented slide right here. Looks like he's sliding into a base, but watch him pop up. He comes right up throwing. And the third base runner, Walker, he has that play in front of him all the way, and he saw Tim Salmon come up with that, and that'll be it for Big Chuck.
Well, Chuck Finley will give up the baseball now. Mark Petkaizik will be summoned out of the pen, and Finley will leave with a 3-run lead. So Mark Petkaizik takes over. It's 4-1 Angels.
Your athlete's foot.
4-1 Angels. We're in the bottom of the 8th inning at the Metrodome in Minneapolis, and Anaheim trying to hold on to the lead here in the 8th. Chuck Finley with 7 1/3 innings tonight. Gave up a couple of walks and struck out 7. And Chuck did not allow a hit from the 3rd inning on to the 8th until the single by Torrey Hunter here in the 8th inning. So Finley done for the night and turns the baseball over to the Angels bullpen. And it's Mark Petkaizik taking over now for Anaheim.
Petkaizik's very reliable. Joe Madden goes with him to help hold this lead here for Chuck Finley and the Angels. Petkaizik, he'll dazzle you with a few different pitches. Uses that fastball. He's got a good sink to it. Curveball and a changeup is probably his best pitch. He'll break them all out to the switch batter, Denny Hawking.
Well, Finley gets the fly ball from the pinch hitter Minkiewicz on a terrific sliding play out in right by Tim Salmon to save a run, and now Denny Hawking will step in. He right now is responsible for the only run that the Twins have with his sacrifice fly back in the 3rd. He is 0 for 2 otherwise.
Petkaisik's got good sinking action. Just like that, went away from him, and that's a good double play ground ball pitch. That's what he'll try to get Hawking to do, and Hawking again will try to get underneath the ball to get in the sacrifice fly or try to hit one in the gap. Take a chance of scoring Hunter, who's very fast at first base. Be interesting to see Hunter possibly try to steal, stay out of the double play situation.
And another strike on Hawking. This one at the knees, and he's not so sure that that was a strike, but Jim Joyce went up with the right hand. 0-2 on Denny Hawking, who came into this one hitting .361 in his last 10, but aside from the sacrifice fly tonight, has been held hitless and not been able to do a whole lot. But Petkaizik trying to finish him off. The 0-2 pitch out, and nothing doing.
Well, just in case Vanetta wasn't watching, that's Denny Hawking's wife. He wanted to tell you hello, and he misses you. She's carrying twin girls. Be due in January, and they're excited.
Well, Hawking right now trying to deliver a couple of twins. Walker down at 3rd and Hunter at 1st.
Yeah, he is.
And Petkaizik's 1-2. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Hawking now with 2 strikes. He'll kind of shorten up his swing and just try to put it in play and find a hole, which is easy to do on artificial turf. You don't have to hit it very hard to get it through the infield. I'm surprised that Tom Kelly hasn't sent Hunter from first yet.
Little looper into center and a base hit. Walker will score. And Hunter will pull into second. So Denny Hawking with a bloop single to center field. And the Twins have pulled within 2 now, 4-2 Angels.
Well, that's that pesky Hawking again. This guy here, he's a tough out. Look at him. Tough pitch by Petkaizik, low and away, and Hawking chokes up on the bat. Look at him, just going with the pitch. Perfect. Just a nice hand swing. Did just what he wanted to do with 2 strikes.
So nicely done by Hocking.
Keep the rally alive.
And that run is charged to Chuck Finley. So the tying runner's aboard now, and here is Brent Gates. On the ground, a second, could be 2. Houston for 1. Desar's relay a double play. 4-6-3. And Mark Petkazik gets the twin killing. We go to the 9th. 4-2 Angels.
Tonight on Prime 9 News.
A wild police pursuit reaches speeds of over 100 miles an hour tonight. The heart-stopping twists and turns, the dramatic end, plus a verdict in Jim Brown's trial.
Prime 9 News tonight after the game. Sunday morning at 11 on KCAL 9. The Angel Sluggers are swinging heavy lumber in Minnesota as Vaughn and Salmon look to cut down Cordova and the Twins. Angels, Twins, Sunday morning at 11 on KCAL 9.
And the Angels lead at 4-2 back at the Metrodome in Minneapolis, top of the 9th inning. And Joe Maddon going for his 4th straight win now for the Anaheim Angels. We talked to him earlier today to see if he wants this job full-time next year.
Yes, I would like to have this job full-time next year. Yes, the situation, the circumstances are very difficult. I've mentioned it before. Terry and I had a tremendous working relationship. I think nothing but the best of this particular man. He gave me an opportunity to work here, and he turned me loose. He's very good at delegating responsibility among his coaching staff, and we all feel very strongly about that. I do miss him already. I learned a lot from him while he was here. And because of the experience I had with him here, I feel more strongly in saying that I feel as though I am ready to do this on a full-time basis. And
Rex, the Angels under Joe Maddon have a chance now to win 5 of 7 if they win it tonight. He's done a great job.
He sure has, and I got to believe he's not going to be judged on the wins or losses that the Angels have the rest of the season. They're going to monitor how the team has played, their enthusiasm level, the aggressiveness, and all the way they're carrying themselves. And so far, they're the old team we all know.
Darren Erstad leads it off against the new pitcher Eddie Guardado. A left-hander has come out of the pen now in place of Brad Radke, who is done after 8 innings.
Steady Eddie Guardado, everyday Eddie. He's out there with a fastball, slider, split finger, and a curve.
And he's ahead of Erstad now, 0-2.
He's the kind of left-hander that comes right after you. He's got that mentality where, hey, I'm going to come after you and get you. And he's got good stuff. A nice big curveball he uses, especially against left-handers. Big Troy Percival be up in the Angel bullpen.
And he got Erstad swinging on the breaking ball. So Guardado gets his first strikeout. Erstad is 0 for 5 in this one. And Guardado making his 54th appearance of the year. So he's been used quite a bit by Tom Kelly. Jim Edmonds will bat now.
Eddie is always ready.
Jim Edmonds an RBI double back in the 30s, also walked in this one.
He's in mainly to face the left-hander. Erstad, he retired, and now Edmonds.
1 ball to no strikes.
Guardado has a 182 average the hitters have against Guardado, and that's pretty good. He's doing his job facing the left-handed batters. They've only hit 2 home runs off him, left-handers. You can see that fastball is effective, but then everybody knows that he's got that big old curve.
1-1 on Edmonds. Eddie Guardado is out of Stockton, California. 21st round pick in 1990.
My homie. That's close to Fresno.
The 1-1 fouled off. Well, Guardado has been in the organization for a while. He's been in the big leagues since 1993, permanently since 1995. And he is a guy that Tom Kelly is not afraid of using. Last year he appeared in 79 games, and again he's on pace for at least 60 this year, probably more than that.
Every team can use a Guardado.
And he got Edmonds on strikes, so a quick start for Eddie Guardado. Strikeouts of Erstad and now Edmonds, and with 2 away, that brings up Tim Salmon.
He's effective. He's doing his job tonight. Be interesting to see if Kelly will come and get him, or after those 2 strikeouts, he might just leave him in.
Well, the Twins had a right-hander warming up, but it appears Guardado will pitch as Tom Kelly hangs up the phone. He will pitch to Salmon. Looking ahead for the Twins, Cordova, Steinbach, and Coomer in the 9th. And quickly ahead of Salmon, 0-1.
He's been ahead of all the hitters he's faced. Erstad, Edmonds, and now Salmon. That's the key to pitching successfully, is working ahead.
2 more hits for Tim Salmon tonight, single and a double. Tim now 13 homers, 53 RBIs. Well, he got off to such a great start in the month of April, and everybody was talking about finally an all-star appearance for Tim Salmon, and then that sliding play out and right against the White Sox in May, and on the DL he went. Popped him up. Long run for Cordova, still coming, and he'll make the catch. Nice running play by Marty Cordova, who's had a nice game defensively in this one. Angels go 1-2-3 in the 9th. We go to the bottom half, 4-2 Angels. Stay tuned tonight after the game for KCAL's Prime 9 News. Jane Velez Mitchell and Carrie Kilbride are standing by to bring you up to date on all the day's news and breaking stories. Live, local, and late breaking. That's KCAL 9's Prime 9 News coming up tonight after the game. And the Angels with a 4-2 lead as we go to the bottom of the 9th. And Troy Percival has checked in for the Anaheim Angels.
Bull Troy Percival's coming in. You can see he had a little spell there a few weeks ago where he was struggling. He still is dangerous. Opponents only have a 177 batting average on him. He uses that 95-mile-an-hour fastball, occasional curve, and a changeup just to keep the hitters honest.
And he will face Marty Cordova to start things off in the bottom of the 9th. So wave and a miss, 0-1.
Pretty much know what you're getting from Troy Percival.
Rex in his last outing in that save against the New York Yankees, he was almost exclusively fastballs. Boy, he painted the corner there, 0-2.
That's his bread and butter pitch. He's going to get beat. He wants to challenge the hitters with his best pitch.
Marty Cordova walked his last time. The 0-2 in the air to right. Salmon on the run, and he can't get there as he bangs into the wall. Second time tonight. Salmon has been well acquainted with the wall out there in right field.
Well, at least it's not a solid wall. It's that glad bag. That glad bag adds a little bit of cushion, but he went a long way for this. You can see he knew where he was, and boing.
A lot more give on that wall. Salmon has made a couple of nice plays out there in right field. Has also provided a single and a double offensively tonight. Percival missing away. Cordova has that stance in which his feet are really spread wide apart. Gives himself a good base.
You see Troy's trying to paint the outside corner. Oh, and he went with a curveball.
Kept it low and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Steinbach and Coomer to follow. 9th inning. Angels in search of their 4th consecutive win.
This is what the Twins want. The meat of their order coming up. Cordova, Steinbach, and Coomer.
There's Terry Steinbach. The 2-2. Full count now on Marty Cordova.
Cordova's done a nice job here waiting for his pitch. He's fouled off a couple tough pitches for Percival.
And the full count pitch. He walked him. So Troy Percival, after getting ahead in the count 0-2, walks Cordova. And now the tying run will come to the plate. Joe Madden and Larry Boa getting a little bit antsy in the Angels dugout.
You don't want to lose a guy once you have him 0-2, but Percy was just off the mark.
Steinbach with 1 home run in his career against Percival. He has only 3 this year. His power numbers have been down. Popped him up. Tim Salmon on the move. And 1 away. Cordova back to first base, so Steinbach is retired. Angels leading at 4-2 tonight, 2 outs away from a win. Better than 11,000 fans at the Metrodome watching this one. The first in a 4-game series as Ron Coomer stands in.
You can hear him saying Coomer.
And Coomer looking for his first hit lifetime against Percival. He is 0 for 3 tonight.
Percy hadn't had a lot of save opportunities this year. The Angels offense was down for him, but it's had an effect on him.
No balls and 1 strike on Ron Coomer.
So he went in that little spell and he was just not locating his fastball where he wanted it. The velocity was there at 95, but when you put the ball up in the zone out over the plate, major league hitters like a good fastball and they can time it.
Coomer has 16 home runs as Cordova measures his lead, and that's a career high for Ron Coomer. Percival just missed there. The count is 1-1.
That looked like a good pitch.
And Rex, it appears that in his past couple of outings, the location for Troy Percival has been much better, and that's always a key for him, as it is for any closer.
And that's why he's kind of gotten out of his little spell he was in. Now he'll serve that 3-game suspension for the hitting David Justice in the brawl that ensued.
Cordova down at first base, not too far off the bag.
No, he'll be looking. Percy will be looking for a ground ball double play or a strikeout.
One ball and 2 strikes. He threw it by him that time, jammed him.
This is a tough pitch to lay off of if you're a hitter. It's up in the zone. It looks good. But at 95, that is Linda Ronstadt blew by you.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Coomer.
Coomer's saying I got to lay off of that one, but sometimes that's hard to do.
And he just missed low and away.
Home plate umpire Jim Joyce is not giving Percival that outside corner.
And many of the 11,000 fans starting to make some noise now. They want to see a 9th inning rally here at the Metrodome. Angels got 4 quick runs in this one. They haven't scored since the 3rd. Twins have had trouble scoring runs tonight. Got him on strikes. Down swinging is Coomer, and again that fastball a little bit up, and Coomer couldn't handle it. So 2 outs now. And our next game here on KCAL 9 will be this Sunday at 11 a.m. as the Angels face the Minnesota Twins in Game 3 in this 4-game series. KCAL 9 is the best seat in the house for Anaheim Angels baseball. So tune in for the Angels and the Minnesota Twins this Sunday at 11 a.m. right here on KCAL 9 Sports, LA sports leader. Well, Matt Lawton will pinch hit now for Chad Allen. He is the last chance for Minnesota.
Lawton is 2 for 5 pinch hitting this year with a home run. They'll go ahead and let Cordova steal that base. Or actually, it's not a stolen base.
defensive indifference. So Cordova will be given second. No stolen base. And Percival not really too worried about Cordova right now. He has to concentrate on Matt Lawton.
He has a homer pinch hitting with 7 RBIs.
The 1-0. There's a strike in the corner. Leadoff walk to Cordova in this inning. Steinbach fly to right. He got Coomer swinging for strike 3, and now Matt Lawton trying to keep this one going here. And that ball just missed.
That pitch looked like it was better than the last one he called a strike.
Lawton last year had a very good season, 21 home runs for the Minnesota Twins. Really kind of a breakout year for him, 77 RBIs. He has steadily improved his numbers in the big leagues. He's batting .254 this year, only 6 homers. And 2 balls and 2 strikes now on Matt Lawton. So Percival has reduced this one to 1 strike, and the Angels will have their 4th consecutive win. Marty Cordova, the runner at second base. He led the inning off with a walk. Big night for Chuck Finley tonight. 7 1/3, 3 hits, 7 strikeouts, couple of walks, couple of runs. And Percival trying to nail this one shut with Matt Lawton in the way. The 2-2 pitch from Troy Percival in the air to center field. Here comes Edmonds on the run, and the Angels will win it. Matt Lawton flies to center field, and Troy Percival nails down the save for the Angels, his 28th of the year, and the Angels have won 4 in a row and 5 of their last 7.
Joe Madden is cruising.
Angels win it 4-2. We'll be back after this. Anaheim Angels baseball on KCAL 9 has been brought to you by your Southern California Ford dealer. By Kragen. Visit your auto parts headquarters today and let's work together. By your Southern California Toyota dealers. Buy or lease a car or truck today. By Edison International, the power behind peace of mind. By the new Dodge. See your friendly Dodge dealer today. And by Carl's Jr. If it doesn't get all over the place, it doesn't belong in your face. Now the Angels win it tonight by a score of 4-2. Chuck Finley picking up his 9th win of the season. Troy Percival came on to nail this one down, and Mo Vaughn his 25th home run of the year. And the Angels playing with a lot of confidence these days. They have won 4 in a row now, and 5 of 7 are player of the game. Tonight's player of the game brought to you by Pizza Hut. We salute Chuck Finley. 7 1/3, 2 runs, 3 hits, and 7 strikeouts.
Look at him burying that split finger. That's what's made Chuck so effective. You see it. He's going to bring another one in there, down at the knees, and got to go.
And so Chuck Finley with an outstanding effort tonight. But Rex, there could have been a couple of stars. Mo Vaughn 4 hits, including a big home run early. The Angels didn't have a lot of offense late in the game, but enough early on and enough Chuck Finley to keep him going.
No doubt about it. And they've been running a good streak here. Joe Madden's got them playing good ball. They're being more aggressive. Of course, it helps when you have some thunder, and Mo Vaughn is starting to pick up his swing with 4 big hits, and like I said, a nice big home run he hit with laser-like trajectory that went right out of the ballpark, and that always helps.
Well, Joe Madden has to be feeling really good these days. His team has won 4 in a row now. He took over under tough circumstances. 5 of 7. He has them playing loose baseball, and it really has shown this last week.
Certainly has, and you know, a calming influence, and Joe's well respected amongst the players, and it just sometimes a change in the atmosphere sometimes makes all the difference, and they're on a roll now, and maybe they can keep it going. Winning, of course, cures everything.
Winning certainly does help everything, and the Angels now will send some of their young players to the mound beginning tomorrow night with Ramon Ortiz. So the Angels win it tonight 4-2, and we'll be back to wrap it up after this.
You know, when things settle down around here around 11:15.
I got it.
spinning wheel, round and round.
Pets.com, because pets can't drive.
That will do it for tonight's game. Once again, the final score, the Angels 4, the Minnesota Twins 2. Our next telecast here on KCAL 9 will be this Sunday at 11 a.m. as the Angels face these Minnesota Twins. Now stay tuned for KCAL's Prime 9 News. That's coming up next. The executive producer of Angels baseball is Patrick McClanahan. Tonight's game was produced by Chuck McKean and directed by Doug Rutt. For Rex Hudler, I'm Mario Impemba. Have a good evening, everyone. This has been a presentation of KCAL 9 Sports, LA's sports leader.